Greetings and welcome to this new tutorial about Trapcode TAO, and today we're gonna learn to create this thing I created earlier. I don't know how you would call it, some kind of undulating ball made out of broken rubber bands all stick together at the center point. I don't know, that's the main idea, and we'll be focusing on the repeater, and we'll see how to repeat automatically generated paths to have them arranged into something cool like that. And here's a different variation of it. So it's pretty cool. It looks almost like hair in Cinema 4D, but all this is generated with Trapcode TAO inside After Effects. So let me show you how to do that, and hopefully I'll remember all the steps as I try to recreate it. If I get stuck, I'll leave it in the edits because it can be cool. I think you can learn something from hearing my thought process as I fail and try to figure things out. So let's start by creating a new composition. 1920 by 1080 standard full HD, and let's create a new solid. Control Y, and let's call this TAO, and let's apply Trapcode TAO to it. By default, we have our automatically generated path set to circle. We want that to be aligned. So this is what we have. This line point 1, this is our center point. Let's set that to 960. That's the half of our composition. 1920 divided by 2. So we're in the middle there. And this line point 2x here will be what we use to define the length of the base length of our streaks. Okay, so second thing we want to do is let's get in the segment section, and perhaps we want to make it smaller. So let's have it now we have like a line, and we can turn off the chamfer. So what this does, pretty simple. It adds well, it's not that much obvious, but it adds some kind of beveled edge on our shape. So let's turn it off. What we have is like a extruded triangle right now, and let's make it really tiny. And right away, let's repeat it. So let's open up this repeat path section, which is a really big section with lots of settings here, and we're going to repeat that streak. So this is the amount of repetitions. So let's start by repeating it 10 times. By default, it will use this word position 100. Let's set that to 0. So now it's repeating everything on its own because everything here is at the default. So we want to affect the rotation. Let's crank this and this. So now we are having increments as we repeat this, like we have increments of rotation. So let's put some settings here to get something as random as possible, that looks as random as possible. Let's add a camera so we can orbit around it, 50 millimeters. So we have this thing. It might look not random enough. Crank this up. So because that's certain, and there is the symmetric doubler. So what we're really actually doing is this, but we're repeating it symmetrically. So let's get this shape as random as possible, something like that. And if we can also change the segment position Z, and let's put it back in the negative. No, is that the right one? Random size. Let's change the random size. And let's so that's not what I want to do. Let's turn off the symmetric doubler and let's let's crank that in the negative value so we get a little bit more variation here. All right, so still we can see a pattern here, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Then what we can do is turn on the second repeater. That means we're going to repeat this thing as a group. We're going to repeat it one more time first. And let's make sure that we are repeating it from the center point. So we can set that to 0. And let's also change the rotation in here. So now we get more randomness. And let's increase the amount. So now we have something like that. And again, we have to make sure that we put values here that will make it as random as possible. And random size. So and perhaps we can be a little bit less generous on this random here. And overall, we can decrease the size of our streak maybe. And once again, we don't need as much. Random size and random position here. All right, so we got some kind of some of them are really small. So anyway, that's up to there. It's up to you. Even if these were at 0, I think we get enough randomness. So we have parts that are more dense, parts that are less dense, but overall they have approximately the same length. So that's why we might like just put a little bit of segment position to have it start a little bit off, so it'll look less regular. And what if we put more? And you can repeat it. So change the values now and here. Try to get the look you want. But from there, it's pretty much a nice looking exploded ball thing. So can we have more? No. And sometimes like you can clearly see patterns, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. But in this case, let's say we will try to make it as random as possible. And what can we do also? Like if you want to taper the size, maybe the end only, and not the start. So you can control their length overall using this, and have them tapered. But let's leave them. Let's not taper them for a moment. And the next, what can we do? We can add a little bit of fractal in there. So let's open up the fractal and let's increase the amplitude. So that will make our streaks undulated, and we can easily add some evolution in there and have it loop. Let me show you how to do that. First, let's create a keyframe for the evolution at frame 0, and let's get to frame 100, and let's increase that. And I don't know what's exactly the rule here, but one thing that is great is only thing that we have to do once we have both our keyframes here, the first one at 0 and this one at 239, or any number. When we're here and we click set end frame, it's gonna put the right value here, and if things works correctly, let me just create a marker here so I can get back at it easily by hitting the number 3 my keyboard and hit on. So here I'm at the first frame, and here I'm at the last frame, and they are the same. So if I hit page up here, I get to frame 99, and I can create another marker here so I can get here, and I will hit N to close my work area, so I can have a little RAM preview of this and see if it does loop. So no, it don't. So it looks like it does, but it don't. So what can we do when things don't work as expected is find out why. So why? So as I go to the second frame, whoop, it like drastically changes. So that means the amount of evolution is not enough. So let's change it to 500 and set end frame again. And now both frames are correct, and it doesn't seem that it has a skip. So now let's test it. And it's right. So if your loop has a little hiccup, then your value is not high enough. So if you want, there's probably some math you can just calculate and know what's the limit. But if you want to know what it is, you can always go by trial and error and see if this will work. So if you put it as low as possible, and oh yeah, we have a little hiccup. So 350 might not be enough. Once again, there is math behind that, but I'm not a mathematician. Sometimes I know those numbers, and sometimes I just mess around until I figure it out. So I was not at the right place. Let's get here, set end frame. So at 500, we know that we are all right for the loop. And what can we do next is, as we repeat those, if we want to get them a different color, the repeater path section has this drop down here. It's called repeater color layer, and it will pick up on what we give it as a layer with colors, and it will use it to color our repeated streaks. So let me illustrate that. First, we're gonna create a solid, and this layer doesn't need to be the size of anything. So let's just make it a square, 400 by 400. And let's see it there in the middle of our composition, and let's add on that a ramp, and then it's gonna make this great thing. You can also another way to do that is right click here, and you can go to the layer style and create a gradient overlay, and then you can set your gradient here and have colors and all. But what I like to do is add a ramp and then add the colorama effect. And then here we can choose colors, and it will pick up from that. And we can uncheck this if we don't want colors in between, like if we want this color or this color or this color. If it's an easy way to and we have other options in there that are nice if we want to color this. So let's keep it at default for the moment, or maybe we can use this moldy setup. Moldy, and this needs to be pre-composed. So let's hit Command Shift C on our solid, and let's call it color map. And let's make sure we move all attributes in the new composition. because we don't like if we have this selected, we don't want to see our effects here. We want them to be inside there. So this we can turn it off. We don't even need it. And then let's get back to our TAO solid and let's set it here in our dropdown, the color map. And yay, what now? See, this is unexpected. What's happening here? Oh, yeah, I did by doing see, that's a mistake. What I did to bring these in the move create the composition and move it created it at the size of its parent composition, but it means that we are picking up all this black here around. So we want to make sure that this comp is 400 by 400 or any size that you would have it. And as soon as we get back here, we have our colors that are picked up by TAO as repeater and that are mapped to all our streaks here. So it's pretty cool. And if we want to have an easy access here, we can get back in here and lock this onto here and get back here. So now we can look at here and say, I want to add some like major blue in there. And nothing will change because you need to purge. Some things in TAO will only be updated if you move forward in the composition, but if the frame you're on has already been cached, then all you have to do is either go in the edit purge all memory or hit command alt / and then you'll see your expected results. So that's really not nice at all. Let's put a color that is more appealing. I don't know. But you get the idea. You can use any color pattern here and it will translate to, I don't know, once again, look at the notes to see exactly how it does pick up the colors and the way it applies them to it. But I see it as like a randomizer, but there's a mathematical way that it uses this as it applies them on the repeated elements. So we have one cool thing. Let me show you another way to add the first way that I did that. So now we did this using, let me unlock that so we can see our TAO settings. We used the path generator, the automatically generated paths, as a line. So let's see another way that we can create things with Trapcode TAO is using paths from TAO lights. So on top of that, well, to understand what we're doing, first let's turn off our generate path. We can always get it back by clicking here. Okay, so let's create a light, Control Shift Alt L, and let's have a spotlight, and let's call it TAO, all capital. You might want to set the cone angle to 0 for reasons, because I just tapped AA. The cone angle is that, but it's not used by TAO, so you just might not want to see it in your viewer. So this light is might want to be set at the middle. So let's do that, and let's do that, and let's do that 0. So now our TAO light is right at the center. It's exactly where our line center is. And let's put some keyframes here. So, well, first, let's add a null object because I like to create nulls and connect TAO lights to them. So let's call it TAO null. And let's hit F4 to see my options here and make sure it's 3D and connect that to that. So here, we might not even use it, but but once again we might. Let's do this, create a keyframe on the first frame, and let's get that frame 30, and let's move it on the X. And why does it go all the way there? Because my camera must be completely off. Let me just delete my camera for the moment, because I was at some weird angle, and now why do I see my thing? Oh yeah, no, it's not my thing. So automatically, oh, that's confusing. So automatically, what happened? This is our new. It's the same. Like we're using a light to create a line. So since we have all these settings are already there, set up as we were looking at this, as soon as we add this light and add some keyframes to it, it's gonna pour out some TAO, and it's gonna be the same as what we've set up in there. So, but that means that we have even more streaks. So this is the length here, and once again, you might want to purge to. And this is turned off now. See, this is our path, automatically generated path, and this is our light TAO. So two different things that we can easily merge together to get even more details and more variations. So yeah, and so this allows more versatility, because what if, like, I wanted to like, what if this, we turn off the repeaters? Like, let's set that at 0, and let's set that at 0. Okay, so we have only one streak, and let's turn off our color map for the moment. And let's put some crazy color to our TAO light so we can see it. Blue. Yeah. And it's pretty dark in here. Why is that? I would like to see it more. Let me, okay. Yeah. So this is kind of, it's a little bit weird. Okay, that's not oriented to a path, so we can see it better. And this null that I created earlier, like it can be our angle decider. So if I change like the rotation of its angle and put something random here, we can have, so we can have more control. I mean, if you see where I'm going there, if we would duplicate this and put some other numbers, then we can have like a really more organically distributed arrangement. All right, whatever you want to call it. So, but what you can always like automate that. You can say like, I want to use a random. I want these to be random, and random 360, because there is 360 degrees. And let's do that, and it will say no, because we might want to do it here and here. Now I'm alt clicking the stopwatch and pasting this random 360. So it's not doing as expected, because why? At each frame it has different random values, but what I want is I want to get a random value on the first frame only. And how I can do this? What was it? Say seed random, and then timeless equals true, and then yeah. So no, not at all. I'll have to check that again. All right. Okay, so that's it. seed random 1, or I can say here index, so it will be random for each index. So seed random index timeless equals true. That value doesn't change anymore. So I can take that and paste it everywhere here. And once we do that, it's going to get, once again, normal, where we're going to get one streak pointed in a rotation and an angle that is random. But now what that means is we can also make its, you see here there is a radius. And the radius, if in TAO, again, if, let me get back in the TAO from light settings, and if we make sure that this option here is enabled, size from radius, it'll mean that we can change the radius of that. So we can make we can make this also random by alt-clicking here and saying that we want this value to be this radius plus random 5. And we don't want it to change, so let's also put the magic line seed random timeless equals true. So this what we have now. So we have, let me save that. And what we have now here is something that we can duplicate to create more and more streaks. And each time we duplicate it, it's going to randomly change angles and size values. So now you have more control on this kind of system. Well, more or less, but different kind of control. So, and now you can say, like, for instance, each individually, like this one, I don't want it to go this far. Randomize these values here, so they are really different in length. So that's some other things that you can do here. Right? So now we have one more step of control here. Let's get back to our settings in the repeater color layer. Let's put back our color map and see, that's our stack now. This is what's gonna, so it's all gonna be blue. So there is different things to be considered here. But let me put this back to 13, and now I don't see anything. Oh yeah. So the color is not happening because I need to purge, and no. So this one is not affected by that color, or it is, but since all my lights are blue, then it it takes over. So let's make all our lights white by copying this and pasting it on all the lights to make sure that the color doesn't take over. So that's another thing that can be cool. I mean, some streaks, I just don't want them to use colors from the repeated layer. So I will take one here and put it blue, so I can have some that are blue and some are really going out now because we've added more randomness. So that's our path that's only our path that's getting generated by the light. So it's more random on its own. It doesn't need the random size, this one, but can have it on top of what we're already doing. But the lesson here is that the more you set up randomness and keyframes and stuff before even going in playing with the setting here in the fractals, or like if you can make something undulate on its path with a wiggle, like all these lights here, I could say like while you're moving from here to here, why not have a wiggle of 0.5 times on 20 pixels, so it will already be undulated even if we have the fractal turned off. So a lot of experimenting can be done, and different results can be achieved. So now what I just did is copy the wiggle, and I'm not sure if it worked, but I pasted it on the position of all, and it didn't. So let's copy that here and quickly add it everywhere. And I'm sorry for my voice. I'm at the end of a cold, getting better. And now let's turn off the fractal for the sake of testing what I'm saying. Fractal, where are you? Repeat fractal. Let's make that 0. So everything is straight. Let's purge. And perhaps it's not high enough. So let me quickly do something. I'm going to create a slider, and on the slider I'm going to call this one frec and this one amp. So I want to standardize this, to centralize it. So this I'm going to connect to that and put 0.5, and this I want to connect it to that. So this is the amplitude of 20, and I want all my lights to have this in. So sorry there. No, this one didn't have the wiggle. Get in here. Whoops. Yeah, okay. Sorry for that. All right. So now if I change this to 120, we should get the variations, but we don't even have the fractal on. So this is pretty cool. This is the frequency. So if I want, like now we have really big undulations. This is the frequency, so I can set that to 1, double it, and so that's another way. Like now, if I run this, there won't be no animation, and it might also crash because it's really complex stuff in there. But you see the idea. I don't have the fractal on, and I already have some undulation that I can keyframe with the offsetter in the TAO, which I can show you right now. So this, let's put back some fractal. So now we have the fractal on top of our undulation. And we don't even have our previously generated path, but we can turn it back on. And it's so small that it's not being seen, so we can increase it. Make sure it sticks out. If we want to have even more things populated in there. So see, I can turn off. So this is the path that is generated from the automatically generated path, and this is the path that's generated by the light. I like this one much more. Perhaps I would get rid of the blue ones, but this is the kind of control you have. One other last thing that we can do is get into the offset. And in the offset animation sequence, we can turn this on and make little pulses. So this the size. So let's mess around with this. So if we don't add any keyframe, just for the sake of seeing what it does, so this will make it larger. So, but if we keyframe that, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but this uses time, the duration actually in this by default of 10 seconds to look at keyframes that is going to use in your offset animation, overall offset, to animate the property that I'm not the best person to explain that, but let me do it. It will be more easy to understand as I demonstrated visually. So if I'm there and I click here to create a keyframe, and then I hit shift forward, and then I set that to 300, and then I set it back to 100. Okay, so nothing happens because it's using the whole duration of 10 seconds. Let me set that smaller, 4. And nothing happens because I have to mess around more. So 4 is around there. So maybe let's bring it back further. All right, so now they are near the tip. Okay, so this is what we are using as a let me shut all this off. Okay. Yeah, okay. So this is what we're using for the basis of our offset of creating our segment, and 4 seconds is what we're using for as a time value to anyway. So if I put these keyframes just near the 4-second point, even if our segments are generated for the course of 1 second 30 frames, that this is connected to it, but that is not the same relevance. So I will bring this near the end. So what it will do, it will like pulsate. It will, let me see if it works. I can test it. Okay. Let me turn off and let me turn this on. All right, so I can have a better look at it. So what it will do basically is create these little bulges, but I have not animated the. So I'm gonna go back at frame 0 and set. No, that's what I'm talking. What am I talking about? Not at all. The offset value. And this also doesn't need to be the same time duration as what is used on that. The offset over time, neither does it have to be the same as the duration used by TAO to generate segments, but it can be set to 100 to have a full loop as long as loop offset is there. Okay, so now we don't even want to offset the size. We just want to use the offset animation sequence. So if I move this, as you see, if I get back, these things will move along our segments. So if I test this, and it will loop. So it shoots. And now, oh yeah. So it will loop for the duration of your key offset here. So we've set that to 51 frames. Let's set that to 50, and let's test it from here. So, oh no, yeah. Let's go to where we had our evolution. So that's the place we wanted to do. So let's test it out. And there's some weird things happening at the beginning, but as you can see, it's kind of pulsating. Okay. So that's pretty cool. So F9 to ease those keyframes here, or keyframe assistant easy ease, and now it'll be pulsating. Let's test it out. So I don't want the auto paths. Let's turn that off, and let's get our lights back. And let's see. There we have our nice undulated streaks. Pretty cool. And where are the blue ones? Oh, I deleted this slide. So let's make this one blue. So we have all of those that are color coded by the repeater, and one that is blue, and this blue takes over the color in the repeater. So that's a nice element of control you have there. And what else? What else? Well, it doesn't look like the ones I showed you at the beginning, but anyway, I think that's the main idea. And out of that process, I think you can figure out ways to create very cool stuff. And I would be, of course, very curious to see it. So if you do anything cool with Trapcode TAO, please make me know, and I like to see the stuff. So have fun playing around and experimenting with Trapcode TAO. And thank you for watching.